Really good to see everyone here tonight. This is continuing on the whole idea of community that we've been pushing pretty hard for about 25 years at least in Lincoln, starting with the Crescent Moon and the open mics down there, starting all the way up at the Delray Ballroom with a reading there that I went to with a number of people, Marge Sizer, etc., at Bill Clef Cornbread. We had a wonderful time. I was fired up. I thought this is something we have to do. So that's when the readings started at Crescent Moon and Java and a lot of other places around town. And now we are blessed to have this wonderful place, Larkong Writers. And this is a great spot, great spot. I really suggest that if you're not a member yet, that you consider it. It's the idea of putting your money where your mouth or your manuscript is, whatever you want to call it. That's how that works. And this is a wonderful spot. I get the opportunity to be here 2 or 3 times a week. You meet new people. You have new ideas. You can try new cookies. There's all sorts of things that you can open up in your life. Tonight we have a book launch. 3 people, 3 books. This is wonderful. 3 people that I know quite well, of course. Rich Wyatt, David Wyatt, one or the other. I know him as Rich or David Richard Wyatt. David and I actually share almost a spot of origin. I was born and raised in the Ontario, Upland, California area back in the 40s, and as it turns out, David lived several blocks from me at the time. Of course, I didn't know him at the time. We were too short to walk that far. But that gives us the same vantage point of Mount San Antonio, known as Mount Baldy. And so we've had mountains in our visage for all these years, and that's always something to conquer. David, I'll read a little bit about David. He was, as I said, born in Southern California a year before the end of World War II, spending his childhood and early 20s in the Golden State, an agricultural and horticultural paradise, well into the 50s. Before and after time in the U.S. Army in the mid-60s, Wyatt attended San Diego State, the University of Nebraska, Omaha, and the University of Oregon, where he held a graduate teaching fellowship in creative writing. He has been writing for many years. He was a sidekick, as all of you know, with Backwaters Press in Omaha, and read, I don't know how many, if you measure vertical feet, stacks of books, stacks of manuscripts that he read for the Backwaters Press. And at the claim, I think, of Greg Kosmiski, that you wrote at least 3,000 poems. And that's been condensed down to 1 book so far. That's good. So now we will hear a few things from David. He'll give us a few pointers about California, I'm sure, that are probably out of date by now, but who cares? We like out-of-date activities. So, David.
Thank you, Brett. Thank you very much for being here. This is a pretty large audience, and I'm not used to it. So,
Get used to it.
The first poem I'm going to read is from my initial book with Wayne State College Press. It's called Yellow Outfit. Before the forsythia bloomed, I was angry with myself for wanting it so much. A real spring. The neighbor on his horse again, his second wife and her boyfriend in a ticket line at the airport. Church bells all around have gone to bat for high-sounding skies, the cathedral having been slapped in the face with a salmon light. At no time before the forsythia put on its yellow outfit did I consider it my fault, the no vacancy sign on a warm afternoon down at the motel. I voted Republican once. It was late in the year, as usual. No fuchsias on the porch. My parents quietly eating their dinner, smiling over the gravy. The weather is always back and forth between a scene of suffering and a path through a village of evangelists. What's the difference? Now a burial at the town limits, or a mound of lilies struggling against praise. next one is from the second book, Evening All of a Sudden, published last November when Lucy's book and Twyla's were also published. Reading for pleasure. Worthwhile the somber light from what seems the room's farthest corner. How do I get it to come forward? Mine is the only so-called brain in the house, with many branches hanging from me instead of two arms. I could grab the lamp before it's out of sight, the room distorted past belief, stars and the evening birds complaining of losing areas of the night sky. And if I last another hour, what miracles should be here afterwards? I don't think this story is using the right words. No new ones formed in the dark, which is every minute more complete. Suppose the lamp and all else have never existed. Strange to say so out loud. Okay, Winter's Glory, which I guess is in remission, not remission, what would it be? It's hanging back now. Faking an interest in the snow, a man draws with heavy black ink from a fountain pen, adrift against the house across the street. Snow, sensitively shaded, covers the garage, the front door, every window that would have taken in the morning sunlight. Now the house is a drumlin of black and white, a well-defined burial mound, no strand of furnace smoke escaping. This is the isolation the man has hoped for. His gripes toward his neighbor, unimportant. The spiraling of actual snow having its effects on somebody else, one who eagerly squints at the nimbus evergreens. Evening All of a Sudden, which is the title poem. Tonight the world has soft hands, stretching clouds into thin taffy. Even the paper boy throws late news on the porch without shattering the quiet. Of course, this is Grandma's house. She very likely the only one on the block who reads the funnies, has time for the tea kettles whistle while she sorts through scraps of cloth, possibility in a new shirt, her once dead husband sitting across from her, saying he's thrilled at the chance of another miracle. Granted, a crow may shout through several open windows, sensing complete darkness, yet there are also other things to be known. Whenever voices become various songs, stars above choosing their favorites. Thank you. Well, a good number of the poems here speak of and around the later years in life. And this is one of those. Getting around. On his best days, the old man heads downtown looking for a lunch counter, for 10-cent coffee, the widened main street now a seed across, his hand above his eyes because the glare of it, wide water, outdoes ambition. He sits on a bench with actually his name on it, nice plaque, and considers the walk home, bells of several churches ringing out another noontime etude, frictional tune that has pigeons dropping from rooftops and into the shadows of alleys. Under his breath, he's often said life is a poke and a cliff, quick love plus a long fall through the light of strangers. He waits until someone says hello, then steps into the jouncing boat. Thank you very much. This next one, it's about a serious subject, but I've attempted to write it and that's maybe not fair to say that at the beginning, in a humor sort of way. So we'll see whether that works. And it's a question. The title is a question. Curious about cremation? Yes, yes. You get that question in the mail and a free lunch offer. The idea of an evening cookout loses its sparkle, though. Though, the benefits of pre-planning your final wishes and imagining the eternal darkness that follows after flames fall short of endlessness, no more view of sycamores along avenues before sunset, their shadowy overstory soon released from blank perdition. And don't forget, economical burial options, the card reads. Mass graves are the new tiny houses. Learn how your wishes will shield your family from unnecessary shoveling. Enjoy, too, that possible last free meal with our friendly staff. We're the ones, of course, in the dark suits, silver-plated steak tongs in our hands, still smelling of death. The next one, maybe one or two after this. This next one is what I think is sort of odd approach to gender equity in a way. It's called Porcelain Light. On today's shore, debris from Asia, silk gown washed to a pearl finish, wrapping an abacus. The counter's all there, along with numerous small, transparent creatures gripping the rods. Although, it could have been the large coastal town north of here from which these treasures arrived, undamaged mostly, piled on the sand, just shy of surf when I noticed them. I walked around the heap of ocean waste, sun's glaze upon it, like a curious dog. Bending, I untangled sleeves, shook out the long skirt, salt water unprescribed down my throat. A yellow, dim yellow hem I discovered beneath which a woman's ankles might have shown, distracting the mathematician who'd come to her for the instruments she offered him with breakable hands. Thank you. Thank you. Okay, this next one takes its title, without permission, from Greg Kuzma. From the roads the police have gone, but the rest of us sit on curbs and gravel highway shoulders, rarely interested in the nesting stars over our heads in more ways than one. We're in different places, but certain we're not alone, thanks to the single dark sky that stays silent even as blank winds roar through fields of corn behind us, or top off distant invisible hills with nothing like reachable meaning. Who says we aren't stoic for enduring what we can't escape from, thanks to no other world on the map, which no one can read because everything was confiscated? Okay, this last one is a even shorter one, and it has an epigraph. It's called The Ant, and it has an epigraph from, 17th century writer, 18th century, sorry, who was called Magister Lou. And the epigraph reads, one place early in the morning, somewhere else in the evening, they wear themselves out. The ant may think he is racing across a stone desert endlessly, and I may think my 2 steps across the driveway to reach the car are too many when I need to be somewhere else. Which one of us, upon his return, will be present as he tries telling others where he has traveled? Thank you very much.
Okay, thank you, David. I've been following David's work for quite a while. I was fortunate enough to attend some of the writers' meetings in Omaha for a number of years. And we're all getting too old, too tired, or can't find directions even with GPS to get together again. The pandemic has done more than we can imagine as far